name is Kimberly Wilson, and welcome to another episode of Tea with Kimberly. So please grab a cup of tea, grab a journal and pen, and I want to share a few tips on starting the new year slowly, ease filled, right? So I know we like to come out of the gates and we want so many new things for ourselves. And yet, really, we wake up on January 1st and we're the same person we were December 31st. And I don't say that to discourage you, but to embolden you to think about what are some choices I could make to go kind of slowly and gently into the new year while taking good care of myself and getting very clear on where I'm going. What is it I want? So, my first idea for you that I wanted to share, and I recently shared this in the Coterie group. And, I just find that as we think about starting the new year, we're filled with hope and dreams and wishes, and that's wonderful. It really is. I love the whole process of sitting down and thinking about what we want. And honestly, I do that monthly. I think that's a really important practice and process. So every month I sit down and I review, okay, what are my dreams for this month? What is it I want to see? And I try to also keep in mind what were those year's dreams I created early in January to make sure that they're filtering throughout the months. Otherwise, what happens is we set these beautiful ideas in January, and then we come back to them next January when we open our journals again a year later, and we're like, oh, yes, I did want to do that. So my first idea for you, my first kind of prompt is to do a review, right? So looking at the different areas of your life, what's working? What feels good? What's going well, right? From your relationships, your career, your finances, your ability to give back, your various commitments, your home environment, your style, meaning the way you show up in the world, all these different pieces, right? So how is it? We often do an annual review for our job, but what about for ourselves and our lives, right? So looking at that can be helpful. And that can also help set the tone of like, all right, what am I doing well? Hi, little Gizmo, my little Chug. Isn't he adorable? Hi, sweetie. He's just moving around. So that's what you hear in the background. Sweet little boy. But that will allow us to really look at, okay, what's going well? Like, I really have XYZ. Great. But my health is suffering, or my creativity, or my spirituality, right? There's so many different topics that we can look at if we do this overall kind of life review. And I picture it like, a wheel of life, a circle of sorts. Number two is go slowly. So gently ease into this new year, right? So, what are the things that you're hopeful about? I like to even look through January through December. What are some pieces that I'm like, I want to make sure in August I do X, or I want to make sure in June I do Y? What is it, right? So that we look at kind of the year as a whole and what is it that we're aspiring for and that we really want to have in our lives. So, but slowly enter in and really thinking of it from the big picture perspective. Number three, focus on maybe just one small shift. It could even just be one small shift a month, right? Or it could be one small shift a week. It could be one small shift for the year. I'll give an example. I had a friend of mine who she was like, well, what are your resolutions? She sent me a text message. And I was like, I'm still sussing mine out. I have a few, so I will want to narrow them down. I was like, what about you? And she's like, I want to stop eating like a child. And I just laughed because I'm sure many of you can relate. I was like, yeah, I get it. Sometimes you're eating a plate of like, yummy stuff and you're like, oh, you just kind of put the veggies off to the side. And so it's like, how do we stop eating like a child? I just loved that. That is a wonderful, very clear focus. Number four is track it, right? So there's things like habit trackers that you can find online. And then you list, okay, here's my small shift or my small shifts. Maybe there's a few of them. Track it. How's that going for you? Oops, I notice on Sundays I don't do X. I don't wake up at 7 a.m. as like I want to on a regular basis. Okay, so I'm noticing that. Is that okay with me, or do I want to make a shift there? So tracking it gives us data. right? So that's kind of like number one. If you do the review, if you look at that and then decide what you're hoping for, and then you track it to see how it's going, it gives you really good data. Okay, what's working, what isn't working. Number five, let your word or theme of the year be your gentle guide, right? This is like your guiding light that helps you decide, okay, what is it that I want this year? And when I'm making choices or I'm making decisions on what to add to my calendar, what to eat, what to wear, what to do, like exercise wise, or sit on the couch, no judgment, right? But just recognizing, like, if your goal is to get more fit, right? Or take up a ballet practice. If you do it once a week, it's not going to be quite the same as if you did it a few times a week, right? So you think about, okay, what is this word? What is this theme? What is this feeling even that you want to guide you throughout the year? And also know it can shift. Mid-year, you might be like, I don't care about fitness anymore. I've got that, right? Now I want to think more about spaciousness. That's often one of mine. So how to have more spaciousness in your life, in your schedule, right? So that you can really pause, savor, think. I'll give an example. I just recently got a teapot that you can choose what temperature you want the hot water to be. And it's great because, different types of teas like different temperatures. So, but what I've noticed, it takes a long time to get to the temperature I want, 200 typically for green tea. And then it has one of those like spouts, I'm blanking on the name, but the little thin kind of pour over spout. And it's like, oh my gosh, it takes so long for the water to come out of that little bitty spout. But I'm like, okay, it is about the experience, right? We are not trying to rush the tea practice. We're trying to savor and enjoy it. So savor is also a really lovely word of the year. So is process, right? Or practice, because oftentimes we're so focused on product. What would it be like to really think about the whole experience moving to the final destination? And then my last little nugget that I want to share, number 6, is search for and protect spaciousness. So, I just mentioned that in number 5, but that's if you choose that as a word or theme, right? So, spaciousness too, like looking at your calendar, whenever you look at your schedule, do you feel like a nice exhale? Are you like, oh, this is going to be a good week? Or are you like, oh my God, how am I going to get through this week? Right? So, see if you can go through and interject, like put in little me times, little nuggets, I'm going to stop for 15 minutes during this really busy day and I'm going to sip tea. Or I'm going to write in my journal, or I'm going to doodle, or I'm going to embroider, right? So what is something versus, scrolling through social media? Is there something else you could do to nurture something that's important to you to help you move forward towards a creative dream? And that is spaciousness. All right. So number 1, do a review. 2, go slowly. There is no rush. Think of the tortoise and the hare. Number 3, focus on one small shift, like no longer eating like a child. Number 4, track it. Number 5, let your word or theme of the year be your guide, right? This is like your little guiding light, the North Star. And then number 6, search for and protect a sense of spaciousness. All right, so wishing you all good things in the new year. Thanks so much for tuning in to Tea with Kimberly, and happy, happy new year.